Welcome everybody back to the X Factor podcast. Today we're going to be going great with a great NFL Week 3 recap. I'm going to be talking about every game from this week, and I'm going to be talking about my thoughts, my opinions, things that should happen, things that shouldn't be happening, and then, of course, my weekly rant about the Dallas Cowboys. All right, the Thursday night football game, Giants 49ers. Giants lose to the 49ers 30-12. Giants pretty much couldn't really do anything. 49ers in the first half looked very rocky. I think Brock Purdy did very It was not the Brock Purdy that we usually see out of him. Completing passes, the short passes, yards after catch. He was very inaccurate in the start of the game. I feel like after a while he was slowly starting to get it, and he did get it after, he had a very deep ball at near the end of the game, which you don't really see much out of him. It's usually just the short passes, the yards after the catch, the check downs, and he lets the guys do that. He's proving people wrong, but to me, I still think he's a little bit overhyped still. Let's just see how he goes. And I'm just saying right now, if you're trying to compare him to Tom Brady, you're ridiculous. And the thing is, I'm not even trying to be biased with Brock Purdy at this point. Like, last year was more of a bias thing. But this year, it's he's really hype. Like, the hype, it's there, but I'm not fully into it just yet. I still need to see a little more to prove that he can be the guy for the 49ers. We've seen this with Garoppolo. We've seen this with Garoppolo. He had a very good start for the 49ers. His first season with them. He had a very good couple games. And then guess what? The next year after that, they went to a Super Bowl, lost. And then what they didn't, they still made the playoffs, but still couldn't do much after that. So we've seen this. We've seen this with Garoppolo. I don't know if this is the same situation as the Garoppolo situation, but just see how it goes. Giants, though, this year's Giants should have been last year's Giants, and last year's Giants should have been this year's Giants, if that makes sense. Which pretty much I'm trying to say is Giants last year should be them this year. They should be the playoff contenders this year. Last year, they should have been the ones tanking, not really doing much, getting the draft pick, all that. But guess what? It's a little bit of a reverse thing because now they suck. They're back to awful. They set Daniel Jones, tricked the entire organization just like that. Saquon Barkley, he's still injured. I know he was injured, but this still probably wouldn't have changed the game a little bit. Denver versus Dolphins, 70-20. The worst game in Denver history, in my opinion. Talking about Denver, this Denver team is just not. You can see there's talent there. It's just like, what do you do with it? What can you do with it? And I think part of that goes down to the quarterback situation. Russell Wilson, the thing is, I have been giving Russell Wilson the benefit of the doubt. Last year, I thought it was the head coach. You bring in a Hall of Fame, a future Hall of Famer head coach, and Sean Payton, and what do? You don't do jack for the first 3 weeks of the year. It makes you look like a fool in my eyes. And then you got players after the game, saying how this is the worst game of their lives, the most embarrassing game. And then Garrett Bowles saying that he's been there for 7 years, and all he's done is lose. So yeah, it is a little bit, frustrating, all this, to them, but they need to start getting this quick. Oh, it's just going to be another Jet situation, which I'll talk about here in just a little bit. Tua, I said this in my predictions. I said Dolphins would win the Super Bowl. I said they would beat Dallas in the Super Bowl. My opinions have changed for the NFC side after seeing last week's game. My AFC side of things, I still think Miami is going to win. Tua, I feel like he's up running for MVP. Dolphins still win the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Mike McDaniel is one of the best coaches right now, if not the best. Devon Achane went off with 18 carries, 203. Raheem Mostert had over 100 yards with 4 touchdowns. All this without Jalen Waddle, which is very, very crazy to think about. So this team is obviously special. Probably one of the best offenses, or the best offense in the NFL. Dolphins or the Patriots Jets 15-10. I don't know. I don't really know what to think about the Pats right now. They don't really show me anything on offense that says to get hype about them. I feel like they're one of those teams that could go either 10-7 or 7-10. Mac Jones, I don't know if he could be the guy. It's very still in question. And their defense is probably still. Their defense is like top 10 probably in the league, in my opinion. It's just that offense is very eh. Jets are just going downhill at this point. Jets are going downhill. Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson got into it, the sideline, and then Michael Carr got into it with the coach on the sideline. It was very ugly. And Breece Hall called the Jets out last week because he didn't get as many carries versus the Cowboys. So Jets right now are not very looking good. Probably the only good thing about them was their defense. And to me, it looks like the quarterback situation, it looks like he's not motivated to be that guy. I don't think he wants to take... To me, I don't think Zach Wilson wants to take that responsibility and being the number one guy. And I feel like that's why the Jets got Aaron Rodgers, because there was a guy who's been stepping up since the start of his career. And stepping up, he had to replace Brett Favre. That's a hard thing to do. Zach Wilson, who did he have to replace? Sam Darnold, and he's playing about as bad as he ever did. So, and I thought Sam Darnold was just bad because of the coaching. Coming to find out, it's a little bit of both. And I always say this about young quarterbacks and coaches: when you're looking to get a new head coach and you want to get a rookie quarterback, get an offensive-minded coach. You don't get a defensive-minded coach. I think it ruins their development, and I feel it's just a horrible thing for them. And right here it's showing it, and I'll also share when I talk about the Bears later on. But I feel like Zach Wilson's not motivated, and I feel like if they actually had a quarterback that was motivated, they could go out there, and, well, they did. They did. And, well, Rodgers got hurt. So, I feel like if nothing goes very well, I think they just get rid of Zach Wilson. But see how it goes. Texans versus the Jaguars. Texans beat the Jaguars in shocking fashion. They beat them by like 20. I think it was 37-17. Texans really shocked me. I'm not going to lie to you. C.J. Stroud throwing for 282 touchdowns and 66% of his throws. I still think they won't have the best record, but they also have a shot to, really shock everyone in the NFL. Defense, I thought they also played very well. Jacksonville did not have a very good game. They let a fullback score on a kickoff return. So that should tell you how that game went for him. Trevor Lawrence played all right, nothing really special. Defense did not do well. Also letting Tank Dell go for a big touchdown, open touchdown late in the game. Jaguars, I feel like they are, the first game of the year, it gave me hope for, potential Super Bowl, potential big playoff berth. For 2 weeks after that game, and I don't really know what to think about them now. I feel like there's not, and I'm not even going to blame Trevor Lawrence. I feel like Trevor Lawrence is doing everything. I just feel like there's still spots in that team where they could really fix and be better at. But we're just going to see how they go, in the later stages of this season. Titans-Browns. Titans win 27-3 in big fashion. They destroyed them. With Nick Chubb going down, though, I thought Browns would not play good. Sean Watson, I feel like he had his best game as a Brown. The refs screwed Amari Cooper on a touchdown, but they still won big, in big fashion. Titans, they cannot get anything on the ground or in the passing game. Titans got a couple of flags in the game where they wanted two people on Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett kept moving to each side, and they kept moving to each side, so which cost them in a penalty. So very ugly for them. And Derrick Henry, very bad game for the King. Derrick Henry here, going 20 yards on 11 carries, and you always wonder when running backs are always going to stop, playing at their peak, and maybe we've seen it with Derrick Henry. I know, even though Titans have had this is the worst O-line the Titans have had since Derrick Henry's been there, but we've also seen where the O-line's that bad, and Derrick Henry's always gotten at least 100, at least go over 100. But maybe it's time for them to move on. I don't know yet. He is 29. That's usually a regression for running backs. Usually it's sooner than that. We've seen it with Zeke Elliott right now. But that's just something to think about for the Titans organization. Falcons, Lions. Lions, I'm going to talk about the Lions, and then I'll talk about the Falcons. Lions played very well. First touchdown for Sam Laporta, Iowa boy. Love to see that. And the first sack for Jack Campbell. Love to see that. I'm going to be getting my jerseys for them too. Even though they are on a different team, you always got to support the Iowa guys, which I will do. And I think Lions are definitely a playoff team. I haven't seen this much hype. I haven't seen this Lions be this good since around 2017 to 2014, one of those 2 years. I know 2016, 2017, they were 9-7. And then, of course, 2014, I feel like was their last, and then, when they played Dallas in the playoffs, they had a very good chance at winning and lost. But this could be a year where they could win in the playoffs. Falcons, it's very hard to think about what they could actually do. Because 1 week they could look very well. Next week they could look very bad. The first 2 weeks they looked very well. This week they look very bad. Desmond Ridder, I do not know if he's the quarterback of the future. We have to look. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna wait to see what he can really do. Because to me, he ain't showing much on my side of things to really say, hey, you could be the future for this team. Some quarterbacks you can see it and you look at him and you're like, yeah, you're the future. With him, I don't see it just yet in him. So we're going to see how the rest of this season goes, but right now I'm not seeing it. And also Kyle Pitts. They don't use Kyle Pitts. I think they need to trade him. I said it the last 3 weeks. They need to trade him. And based off how the Dallas game went, I still think Dallas. That's just me being biased at that point, but I feel like when it comes to tight ends, they need one very, very badly. And, Kyle Pitts. Dallas would give them a pretty good offer in my eyes. Let's see here. Packers Saints. All right. Packers very bad in the first 3 quarters. Not scoring 1 point. Fourth quarter, they scored 18 unanswered points to win the game. I think if Derek Carr, though, would not have get hurt, they probably would not have won. Or the Packers wouldn't have won. And the thing with the Saints and the Packers, I don't really know what to think about them yet. Like I said, it's just the Saints. It's 1 week they can play very good. The next week they can play very bad. And in each 3 games they've scored 17, 20, 16. So they haven't scored anything past 20. Offense, I don't really know what to think about them yet. Defense, I feel like they've been holding everyone pretty well. They've hold 15, 17, or 15, 13, or 15. I think they held 13. I think last week, and then they held them to 17 or 18 this week. So defense, there's no much of a concern. They're holding people to under 18 points a game, or under 20 points a game. But offense, they need to do their part to win games, which they obviously have done, but it's just been very low-scoring games for them. Packers, I still don't know really what to think. Jordan Love is very he just came in and pretty much have shocked. He shocked me. I feel like you always sit there and think could they have the next Aaron Rodgers? Week 1, I thought they had their next Aaron Rodgers. Week 2, they looked losing the 1 point to the Falcons, and then this week, it's very concerning. Even though they did win there, you still have that concern because they were down 18-0 at 1 point, or 17-0 at 1 point. Bills Commanders. You want to look at a team that did not do very well? Look at that Commanders team. The Commanders had a very bad game. Sam Howell. Some people I seen said that he got exposed. To me, it's not really much of an expose. I think he just got put down to reality this week. When you play teams like the Bills, you just can't throw 3 or 4 interceptions and expect to win. Look how it went for Josh Allen in Week 1. Even though they were still very close, they still lost. I still think Sam Howell's my same way with some of these other quarterbacks. I still got to see a little bit more to prove that they can become something. They have played the first 2 weeks. They played the Cardinals, and the Cardinals, I will get to them in a little bit, but they have put in fights in every game that they've been in this year. And then last week, and then this week, this was the only game where the Commanders were like, well, we're not going to show up and play today, I guess. I don't know, but that's just really what I'm really seen out of me. But Bills, they're finally showing that they be one of the Super Bowl teams. I don't know what happened in Week 1, but after the Week 1 game, they just started to play very good. And Josh Allen showing why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, doing Josh Allen type things. Chargers Vikings. Yes, even though the Chargers won the game, I still think Chargers still have a coaching problem. I think the coaching is a very big problem. And to me, they still won, but they played one of the worst defenses in the league, in my opinion. So, not really much to really say. You beat one of the, you beat the worst defense, but still, I still think they still need to show what they can really. There's a lot of teams that I still think that need to show their value. Vikings, I said this a couple times already. I think the Vikings are one of those teams that needs to score at least 30 to see, at least score at least 30 to win games, and see what they do when they don't score 30. They lose games. Offense, I think they need to step it up because there's no way I don't think defense is gonna have a good game this year. They let Baker cook on them, where they only scored 17 points. And then they played the Eagles. They let up 34 points, and then they let up 28. So if they would have scored at least 30 in those games, they would have won. Except for the Eagles game, they would have to score 35 to win. So like I said, still over the 30-point mark, which I've been saying, and I feel like this offense is a team that can score 30 or 40 points a game. But I think the offense really needs to step it up, otherwise there's going to be some problems over there in Minnesota. Sorry for the noises background. It's I think they're taking down a tree. Colts Ravens. Colts really shocked me, but refs really sucked. The referees in a lot of these games this weekend were awful. They were either making very bad calls or they were missing calls. So to me, it was a very, very bad game when it came to refereeing games. Ravens, they still lost. Gardner Minshew really proved everyone wrong, which I feel like Gardner Minshew is not a bad quarterback, but especially with Shane Steichen's offense, I feel like he's really been showing a lot. So just let's see how it goes. And Colts are doing really good, by the way, without Jonathan Taylor. I'm just going to point that out right now. They're really showing something. Looking at the Panthers, Seahawks. And I said this about Geno. I don't know really what to expect out of Geno. I thought, that this year was going to have a really down year. But he's been playing very well in these couple of games. I'm going to see how he does against some of these better teams. Offense looks very good, though. Andy Dalton needs to start for the Panthers, obviously. Let Bryce Young sit there, learn. They had their best game on offense when Andy Dalton cooked throughout that game, even though they still lost. So let Bryce Young sit there young and learn, and let him learn, which I feel like is the best thing when it comes to drafting a quarterback. You need to get at least a guy, a veteran that can sit there and start for these first couple of games, and be that guy pretty much until they're ready to move on from you. Chiefs Bears lost in freaking. They lost pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. They had one of the worst games in forever. One of the worst games since last week. Let's just be honest with you. I'm gonna talk about the Chiefs. I got a lot of things I gotta talk about the Bears here. Chiefs played like a Super Bowl winning team. Not gonna. They played pretty well. They first 2 weeks I didn't really to me they didn't look like a Super Bowl winning team. They didn't look like they won the Super Bowl last year. They looked like they lost in the playoffs last year. And then suddenly this week they just pull something out and says we're fucking playing today, and they legit scored 40 on the Bears, which is not very hard to do, obviously. And the Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are officially dating. I think we all knew that coming into this game, after we heard the rumors. But which Kelce Swift duo is better? I will get to that when I talk about the Eagles here in just a little bit. Let me know down below. Bears, though, the Bears are a fucking disaster. The coaches are trash. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some firing soon for them. It's getting to that where, there was part of the game the other night where Fields got hit, and, he was doozy. It looked like he was out of it, and coaches didn't do nothing. DJ Moore had to do something, so that should tell you something about the leadership when it comes to coaching. Their own players have to say, hey, he can't be in the game. He looks out of it type of mood. They're a sorry-ass team, to be honest with you. And Fields, he blamed the coaching last week. He said it. We all knew he said it. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't blame him. And I hate to sit there and say, they shouldn't blame the coaches. But if we're being honest here, that he has every right to blame these coaches. They hired a defensive-minded coach. And I said this before, defensive-minded coaches, when it comes to rookie quarterbacks, they don't go well. We're seeing it right now with Zach Wilson. And, even when they hired Eberflus as the head coach, I did not like it because he's a defensive-minded coach for a rookie quarterback. And like I said, if you're a young quarterback, get someone. If you're the team, look at someone with an offensive mind. Otherwise, stay away from the team. If you already have like a Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, get a defensive-minded coach because the quarterback can already do something with them. So, obviously, it's very frustrating. And I'm not even a Bears fan, and I can already see the frustration. I'm frustrated just watching this team play every week because I had so much praise for the Bears this season, and they're doing this 3 games in. And Justin Fields is a very good quarterback. So they need to start getting some firing soon. Otherwise, it's going to be a very long season for the Chicago Bears. Looking at the Steelers-Raiders. Steelers, they played good old Steeler football. They had the best offensive game this year for Matt Canada. Josh McDaniels is a very bad quarterback, or very bad coach. Jimmy G is bad. I said it when the Raiders got Jimmy Garoppolo, and I said it when they got Josh McDaniels. They're just doing Raider things and getting dumbass coaches and shitty players. And Jimmy Garoppolo, a player who was only good because of the coach on the last team. Josh McDaniels, we knew he was not a head coach. We've seen what he did with the Broncos, but suddenly Mac Jones has one good year, and they think he's some good coach. Raiders, I feel like Josh McDaniels is on his hot seat, by the way, too. And Josh Jacobs, he's playing very bad right now. I don't blame him because his team's awful. They have the talent. Like I said, it's just another one of those things where the coaches need to do something about it. And, well, I don't think we're going to get that out of Mr. Josh McDaniels. And if I'm being critical and you don't like it, I don't care. To be honest, it's just, to me, this is what it's looking. And then, the Steelers and Raiders, by the way, at the end of the game, they needed to get a touchdown, and they had 2 opportunities to get touchdowns, and they got field goals on the same drive. So that should tell you how dumb the coaches are. Like, come on now. Eagles, Bucks. The Bucks really didn't do much for me, to be honest with you. They just pretty much showed what they really were as a team, and it's just one of those mid to lower card teams. Eagles offense, definitely not like last year's team, or not like last year's offense. I feel like the only good thing about it is that they can run the ball very well. Hurts is not the best thrower. 2 bad interceptions. He had one last week. It was bad too, so they should probably be looking at that as well. He already has 4 turnovers in the first 3 weeks, so not a very good look for him. Mike Evans had a very good catch in the game too, and his contract's coming up, so it's either they, I feel like if they don't want to re-sign him, I feel like they should trade him for some draft picks and build the team through Baker. And Baker did not have a good game, but I still think Baker is a good quarterback. So, if you don't think Baker's a good quarterback, I'll tell you why I think he is a good quarterback. Baker, when he got hurt, before his last days in Cleveland, they made the playoffs. We've seen how good they played, right? Then Baker gets hurt. Look how he played when he was hurt and when he was not hurt. And they let him play hurt, so that's kind of on the Browns. And they got rid of him and got Deshaun Watson. So that should tell you something right there. Bengals, Rams. Bengals did not have a very good game. Well, they did, but it was a very slow game for them. Burrow not playing good. Still concerned about him, even though with the injury. Higgins did not play very good either. He had like 3. He had a bunch of drops. I don't even know how many he had, but it was awful for him. Hopefully he can get on and get going, because there's been some talks about him. So who knows? Let's see what happens in the upcoming weeks for him. And then with the Rams, man, Matt Stafford, his whole career has been carrying football teams. It's been him carrying the team. And it's just another... Jesus Christ. It's just another... it's another instinct for them again this year. I really hate that they're... That's really fucking annoying. Alright, we're just gonna keep going here. Give me a minute here. Okay, they stopped. Thank fucking God. Alright, Matt Stafford. He's been carrying teams his entire career. And Matt, he's just doing it again this year. And it's very frustrating for him, I'm assuming, so. But, talking about and even though with the Rams, they should probably be 0-3 right now. But they're 1-2, and they're looking pretty all right. And Puka, I love Puka. I love that guy. All right, Cardinals Cowboys. The last game I will talk about here into this week. And I will admit, Cardinals, they had a very good game. I will say this though, Dallas, they did lose Trayvon Diggs. Defense, even though they lost Trayvon Diggs, you need to step up. Deron Bland, he did all right. He had one very bad penalty early in the game. There's times where Stephon Gilmore did not look very well. Hopefully they step this up on the defense, because defense did not play very well. Defense played awful. They let up 200 yards rushing. Very bad by them. Micah Parsons didn't do nothing. They ran right at him, and guess what? He still couldn't do nothing, so it's very frustrating to see that happen. Hopefully in the upcoming weeks we can see some better for them. Better, if they don't get better, then it's going to get very worse for them as a team. And Cowboys, Dak, if you want to say Dak lost in this game, you are wrong. They were down 3 offensive linemen, and Zach Martin, Tyrone Smith, and Tyler Biotish, 2 future Hall of Fame linemen, and Dak did everything he could. He was running for his life. T.J. Bass played all right. Brock Hoffman played all right. Juma Iduga, he was left tackle. They need to move him and Tyler Smith around. I don't know why they did or why they didn't do it, because Tyler Smith, we've seen him play right tackle last year or left tackle last year, so I don't know why they didn't put him in there. A very bad game for the offensive line, but they need to step up. And the play calling wise was not good. They were running every first and second down. It's like, why not let Dak, do some of these good things? There's times where Dak can be one of the best players in the league when it comes to throwing deep balls. And they need to start, one of their things is, they want to get short passes and let the yards after the catch do their work. The thing is, Dak needs to get the rhythm going, and they need to start having some big deep plays also, because you can't just let Dak sit there and not have some of those deep plays where he can rely on when it comes to CeeDee Lamb. We've seen CeeDee Lamb go for deep passes, and he's probably one of the better guys in the league that does it. Michael Gallup's one of the better guys in the league that can do it. A very frustrating game from this Cowboys team. Also, they were 1 for 5 on third down or on red zone. Red zones, the last 3 red zone trips that they had, they resulted in 3 points. Awful. Red zone was a concern last week when I talked about them. Hopefully they can get it going before they have to play the 49ers in 2 weeks. They play the Patriots next week. I feel like that's just another game where they can try. It's probably a game where Dallas could probably lose, based off what I've seen this week. But if you want to blame Dak, go back and watch the game. I swear, some of these people are either brain dead or say shit to get attention, because I see that a lot of times, especially from people from ESPN. They say all these dumb shit, and it's pretty much getting sad at this point. I do a fucking better job, and I don't even get paid as much as they do to do this shit. So, it's just very, very dumb. Very, very dumb. That's all I got for you this week. NFL Week 2, my NFL Week 3 predictions will be tomorrow. Or NFL Week 4 predictions, my bad. NFL Week 4 predictions, and I'll also post on Twitter. Follow the Twitter, XFactorSportss, and XFactorSportss420, and this TikTok, XFactorSportss with 2 S's at the end is the Twitter. Comment down below your opinions, thoughts, hot takes, or at the Twitter down below. And like I said, the description, I always have something down in the description that I forgot to tell on the video. So y'all stay tuned for another great episode. Stay blessed.